is on a 20-minute stream delay in the name of fairness.
There we go. This is the only text box. Liar.
It's the only one we're kind of forced into, anyway.
Alright, well, we did get bombs, so we're not going to need to farm bombs like we normally would in this standard escape sequence.
It's definitely a good thing to find early on for these runners, just a little bit of peace of mind. I don't have to sit here and fight every frickin' thing to find a bomb.
We did get a map check on Azazaz's side. We got a normal crystal at Eastern, a 5/6 crystal at Desert, and a red pendant vanilla at Hera.
Interesting layout to start us off.
Hey, look, Uncle had a sword. I really could have swore we were going to be assured of that. Well, the Green Guards dropped the bomb first, and we got Fire Rod.
Well, well, well. Fire Rod is one of those uncle weapons for the standard mode escape, but we've already got a sword, so I don't see we'll see much of that Fire Rod, except for maybe on that ball and chain guard.
Probably. Alright, so retro mode. So, we take some of the elements of Zelda 1 and hack them into Zelda 3. So, keys are now global. You see that there was a key counter no matter whether they were in Hyrule Castle or not. They're also global, so any small key can be used in any dungeon. You also notice that there isn't an arrow counter. That's because arrows have been removed. We have a Fisher-Price My First Shield in Hyrule Castle. So, instead of getting arrows as an item, you have to spend money to fire arrows. 10 arrows for a wooden arrow, or 10 arrows. 10 bucks for a wooden arrow, 50 bucks for a silver arrow.
Definitely not going to be worried so much on those arrow costs for the silvers until we reach Ganon, as this is hard mode. But it's one thing you have to remember to at least have 200 bucks heading into the Ganon fight.
Absolutely.
Take down a blue guard to find our key.
And then there's the required small key in there, because this is still standard mode, so we still have to make sure you can make your way through the escape sequence.
Have an interesting note of that. Another part of the veteran mode is there are take any caves added to the game where you can choose between a potion refill and a card container. There's also one cave that holds on to the sword.
And that's important because that sword upgrade is removed from the item pool. So there's only 3 sword upgrades out there, plus the one in that take any room.
And there's also more shops added to the map, which will also sell keys and the wooden arrow, as the logic may require you to purchase them.
Well, you do have to purchase the wooden arrow. Well, okay. The game
keys.
intends you to have to buy the wooden arrow before you can fire wooden arrows. Thing is, there's a bug right now where once you get the bow, you can fire arrows.
Though it has been inconsistent, so it's not something you want to bank on, and you will have to purchase that wooden arrow if you want to use the silvers. All of our runners have been made aware of this bug, so that's something that is allowed to be used. As we're moving through, well, 6 minutes into the escape sequence. An assured sword makes pretty standard routing for this.
You could almost say it's standard.
As is the nice sync we had until we couldn't quite get the push on that, whatever that is in the back of the throne room. Alright, so Jax, as we make our way through this escape sequence, what are you hoping to see out of this seed?
Well, there's a hammer, so we're getting blessed with a lot of items at this point. I honestly, I don't know. I just want a good race. I think that's the thing I want more than anything. Is I want a close race. I want it to, you know, be something where it comes down to kind of a couple critical choices or whatnot, a couple execution. Like, you know, I just want it to be close. I don't really have like a, oh, I want to see this.
I definitely understand that. I'm hoping to see at least something that is in an unfortunate location that they both find at about the same time and both show their disgust towards.
Alright, well, we did find an empty bottle in the back of Escape.
Definitely feels good to find that early bottle, as you'll likely head straight to Kakariko after you finish this escape, and it opens up Sick Kid. It's one of those checks you just want to get out of the way as soon as possible. There's a 552 for Azazaz, and it looks like right about 6 for P-Train. Pretty good starts.
And just a big 20 in the Sanctuary chest. So Azazaz is going to make his way out, and from here, the world is the runner's oyster.
P-Train making his way out after cleaning out the collection plate.
Now, one thing we should point out when we were discussing retro, the randomizer assumes that money is farmable, so anything that requires money, it assumes you can get it no matter what because you can farm it. Well, since we have shops where you can buy small keys, guess what that means?
It's time to Houlihan on P-Train's side.
Yes, it also means keys are farmable.
And we're getting a lumberjack check from Azazaz here. Just $5. And note that the tile here at the back of the Houlihan room is not a hint tile, it merely shows the names of past runners of tournaments. And there we see Azazaz dipping in to see if he can find one of those shops or take any's that are hidden on there. With retro mode, it is kind of also a little bit of a taste into entrance randomizer, as those shops are randomized out there somewhere.
And just a big 20 sitting out in Lost Woods.
And 3 bombs hiding out with the thief. That tier 1 tree pole is just a couple hearts. And more hearts for the bush crab. And P-Train also pops in relief to find out he doesn't need to worry about Lumberjack.
Alright, so time to make our long way through Kakariko and all of the abundance of items we get to find. How about a mushroom to start?
Are they thieves or are they dealers? We will find out soon.
Yes. The answer is yes.
Be curious to see what Hyrule's asking price for shrooms is these days. We'll find out a little bit later, I'd imagine. Though we could potentially see a fake powder already, as we have the hammer and the fire rod to burn. Oh wait, don't we need the cane for that? I forget how to bug sometimes.
Yeah. For fake powder, you need the cane of Samaria and the mushroom. And there's Cape. Ooh! We found the Take Any Sword room, and it's in, it was in the Fortune Teller hut.
Which Estes has already walked by. It's dangerous to go alone. Take this, as that's another piece toward maybe Aga 1. Let's look to see if we find a lamp somewhere.
Yeah, the last retro seed I called was an Aga 1 required seed, and the Take Any room was the other sword upgrade you had to get. The logic will consider where the Take Any room is.
And as we see in the the place where in the Dark World would be the chess game, we found our first Take Any cave, so that's a heart container for Azazaz. Like in Zelda 1, you're pretty... You don't often see them go for that blue upgrade.
Especially in hard mode, when you've got a max of 14 hearts, you're gonna make sure that you get as many heart containers as you can. Because also, blue potion only revives 7 hearts and half of your magic. And well, there's Power Glove.
Apparently, sick kid lifts, but not when he's sick.
Such is life. But that's Dark World access.
Well, so much for Aga 1. I did miss where that moon pearl popped up.
I think it was in the well.
Right on. Well, now with the Dark World being our oyster, where do you think our runners end up after they finish South Shore or the Kakariko here?
Alright, we got a small key on the library ledge first. $300, maybe they go pick it up, but we'll see. To answer your question, right now looking at their item pool, Skullwoods and Thieves Town are certainly both full clearable at this point. I'm getting, I'm forgetting the word, $5 from the race game. I'm getting tremors from having to try inverted mode and remembering that 4 hearts, Green Mail, Thieves Town, and Skullwoods is not fun. And we may have to do that still.
Happen to answer the question in chat. We did, as walked past the fortune teller's house, which was our Take Any for the sword. Be curious to see if he ends up going back there at some point. Note, I have not seen him making many of those extra checks for Take Any's. Well, old man, but...
So I want to stress that this was before the race actually started. So before the countdown, Azazaz was actually looking at video, like VODs of previous retro races, to try to like learn on the fly, and like both P-Train and I had to give him like a rundown of, hey, this is how retro works and whatnot. So I think, I don't know for certain, but this is probably either his first or one of his first retro races. So it would not surprise me if Azazaz is not looking for stuff, because this is probably all still new to him. Whereas P-Train admitted he likes retro, he just hates racing it.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the more underutilized modes. I think it's rather interesting, though I have not tried it myself, but I'm not good. Mini Moldorm not giving us too much yet, and just a few dollars for a trouble.
Yeah, I didn't even bother trying to run the qualifiers for this, but I have played my fair share of inverted seeds and retro seeds, more just to understand the logic to commentate it.
Yeah, definitely. I'm a bit of an inverted fan myself, despite the fact that it quite often bends me over.
Now, it'll be interesting to see if either runner decides to fake flipper here. With Zora spending out $500, that's 5 small keys. That's a lot of money that you're going to be getting, or having to hand over. So, it'll be interesting to see if, even though either runner doesn't have the money for it just yet, if they're both going to try to, try for it.
And both our runners making use of our power glove here to make a delve extra check to see if we find another take any. Not finding there, but we'll farm a couple rupees real quick and head on off.
There was a conversation about where the shield upgrades were. The first one was in the very first chest in the escape sequence. Alright, so Asazas is going to go ahead into Dark World. We're going to get that Dark World check. Skullwoods is our other blue pendant. Ice Palace is our green pendant. Pod is the 5-6 crystal.
Alright, so we'll definitely be on the hunt for that ice rod somewhere.
But it's Hype Cave time.
Can we find one that finally lives up to the name again?
Well, let's see what we got. We got 20 bucks, so that won't help. We got a bottle of red potion, 5 bucks, a 20 buck, and a mirror. So, meh. Meh.
A 4? Going to need that mirror to get into Swamp Palace, so...
The mirror is certainly huge. It was just everything else that kind of came with it. An interesting P-Train's making his way over to Aegina's Cave.
He'll probably also make a couple extra checks here, or not, looking for more take annies. There were 2 caves there that he could have checked.
Stumpy just has 5 bucks.
What a price to pay to now become a tree. And what is number 45 holding on for us today?
Another 5 bucks.
More of those good old heart piece and heart container replacements. Such is the glory that is hard mode.
Mm-hmm. Now that arrow game that we just walked by, if you can do it right, that is a way to get some quick cash, and the name of the game in retro mode is money management, so you may see runners go into that arrow game to kind of get money, but also getting their money back in the digging game with all those blue rupees, and we have a blue mail.
But he's going to go ahead and keep digging and try to get himself a few more dollars.
That certainly seems like a smart idea. I mean, he's essentially already walking out with more money than he started with.
Gotta love that return on that investment and that great bit of safety, the last mail upgrade that we will find.
Mm-hmm. Alright, so Asazas looks like he's heading to Northwest Dark World.
And P-Train stops in to pick up a couple extra bombs. I'd imagine both our runners are probably going to make their way to the Dark World. There's a lot of checks available to them here as P-Train picks up his Take Any Heart.
Yeah, Skullwoods and Thieves Town certainly seem like the place right now.
P-Train taking a long turn.
Yeah. Don't have those Titans mitts yet, buddy. How is Seepy Byron? Seepry Byron. I don't know how I'm gonna pronounce your name. How is Retro different from other modes, at least strategically? Like, what things do you do differently as a player? The key thing is money management. A lot of this mode was meant to add money management into Zelda Randomizer that other randomizers kind of have by default. So, with the keys being farmable through buying them at shops, and also there isn't enough in the item pool by itself, so you have to buy them at some point. You're basically going to... The main difference here is trying to keep track of money. There's also a key sanity light part to it, where, you know, as for example here in Skullwoods, in a standard layout, you have 2 dungeon items, 3 keys, a map, a big key, and a compass. Well, even though one of those keys was there, normally they're not. So the thing is you're going to have more items in each dungeon than what you normally would. And so the point with this is that you want to make sure that you're keeping track of... You're going to find more items in dungeons than you normally would in a standard seed. And for those taking notes at home, yes, the pinball room still is forced to have a key so as to not soft lock.
But it's interesting to note that had P-Train came in with that mirror, he could have chosen to steal that key.
Alright, so now P-Train's going to do that map check.
It's nice to see a runner hanging on a mattress long enough to process it, whereas we find Titan's mitts hanging out in Thieves Town.
French vanilla flavored Titan's mitts.
It's nice to know that the residents of the villages do lift. As P-Train makes his way through everybody's favorite room of Gibdos. Narrowly avoids our friend the Wallmaster.
You got a piece of chivalry in the in Thieves Town.
Steal thy shovel as we play with the button. It's just a compass for P-Train's trouble. And Gibdo hugs are fun.
That might have been a death warp. I think that was a death warp.
At that point, it's a decision between, do I go walk around with 2 hearts, or do I lose 3 seconds and get 4 hearts? Alright, and Asazas is going to make the choice to head on up and check the hint tile first.
Piece of Artisan Hookshot Cave. Thanks, game.
That's helpful? Question mark?
Ooh, swing and a miss from Asazas. Gonna have to hit the switch with a sword.
So at least if we're desperate, we know, hey, we'll find a piece of heart up there. It looks like P-Train is heading up to check the bumper cave.
Which also has a vanilla piece of heart.
Now I'm going to head up to this often left out location just to see if we find a take any. No such luck. As heads on down toward our friend the Maiden.
There, right there is a prime example of the different strategy in retro. If you drop a 20 bucks in like any other like randomizer seed, you're not picking up that 20 bucks. But in retro mode, where you need all the cash you can get, oh, you are going back for that 20 bucks.
Oh, yeah. And there's 20 from the maiden cell. And a heart piece in the sea house. as walks on over to check that big chest in Thieves Town. I'll feel bad having to spend a key if there's nothing here, like the burrito. Gotta love those $100 burritos.
Yeah.
Chipotle got nothing on Thieves Town.
So I might have missed this, but did asazas buy the wooden arrows?
I guess he would have had to in order to obtain that arrow icon on his screen. I'm trying to remember where he would have found that shop. I don't remember seeing it.
Alright, Cooper Fox in chat telling us that yes, he did buy him while buying a key. Thieves blind is down, $5 for your troubles. First crystal of the game, 26 minutes in.
I blinked. I think I missed that fight. As P-Train gets strong. Alright, As, where are you heading off to next?
Well, he's got those Titans mitts, so this looks like a Smith chain.
Well, no better time but the present.
You gotta go rescue our friend Jeremiah the Bullfrog, which I actually think this makes sense because you got the mirror at Hype Cave, you've already done South Grove and Stumpy, you've got the means to clear out Village of Outcasts. You might as well go ahead and finish it, so that way you don't have to come back and orphan like Peg Cave or different things. Now, the only thing with that is Magic Bat is still going to be left orphaned at this point.
Oh, yep, we still don't have that powder or the cane in order to glitch through it, as we slowly knock down all those pegs. And rewarded with $5 for all our trouble. Alright, so what have our Smiths been working on for the last 27 minutes?
Bloomerangs?
Unfortunately, this is hard mode. It's even less useful than it has been in the past. As with hard mode, those boomerangs no longer stun. Can still be used to activate switches and pick up items, but once you find the hook shot, you're going to use that for that. Which is unfortunate for me, as I'm kind of a boomerang crutch kind of guy. Alright, Gary, what have you been... What was your plan for lunch today? I was gonna go pick up a burrito or something. Well,
I mean, chat's going on about how the rupees could be food for the Gorons, and it's like, as Cooper Fox in chat said, I wouldn't feed a Goron a pure sugar rock. Can you say hyperactive rolling ball of doom?
I can dig that. Kind of like having to stop the young Goron in the adult Ocarina of Time Goron City.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so...
Let's go check on what our friend Gina is holding on to.
I think we've already seen that. I think P-Train looked at that. I think it was just bombs. So... we've got Pod and Eastern we can get into, but we can't full clear yet without the bow. Both are crystals. We've seen part of Skull Woods, but we haven't, but P-Train did not finish it, so there's still potentially items on Mothula in the chest in his back area. You could sequence break your way into Ice Palace, but no one's gonna sequence break their way into Ice Palace until they have to.
I don't foresee that ever being a play somebody makes, unless they're just desperate.
I have seen it done, but it looks like instead of sequence breaking Ice Palace, Azazaz is gonna sequence break his way up Death Mountain.
Pretty standard play for runners of this caliber. Is making its way to this dark room isn't that bad. The one fun thing to note, where once you pick up the old man, you gotta take him home. You are stuck doing this. So I hope you know how to navigate that easy dark room. As P-Train makes quick work of our friend Blind the Thief, he'll reward him with his $5 and his first crystal.
Alright. Old man apparently is a lockpick today.
Hey, Chad, bringing a good point. This is a fairly good play with the mirror and the hammer in play. The east side of Death Mountain is fully available to him.
True. However, logically, because we don't have the lamp, and you can't, and the logic assumes you, can't do dark rooms, that it's not going to require you to come up here without the lamp.
Though we have not seen Eastern Palace or Sahasrara checked yet, so that lamp could be hanging out over there. And hey, look, a swag net.
Alright, an actual somewhat useful hint. The compass is in the coffee break room of Hera, so we're not going to need to worry about coffee breaks today.
Definitely a little time saved, but a little less coffee had.
Okay, so iSimp in chat has been asking about retro mode. So let's do our friend a favor and kind of go over this again. So, retro mode, elements of Zelda 1 put into Zelda 3. Keys are global. You can use any small key in any dungeon. That's why you see both of our runners having the key icon in the overworld. Some of them can be found in item locations. You can also buy them, which means the logic assumes you can farm them. Money, you have to spend money to fire arrows. There is no arrow drops that you can get anymore. There are also take any rooms, 4 that have a choice between a blue potion and a heart container, and 1 that has a sword. Azaz missed that one because it's in the fortune teller hut in north of Kakariko. P-Train got it. That's why you're seeing a difference in sword right now.
All right, and to pick up the things that we missed when we were getting an explanation, we found a magic powder downstairs in Hera, and a not so useful hint saying somewhere out there there's a heart piece that requires the Cane of Samaria.
Woohoo! Woohoo! I mean, yay for the powder, but with that hint, woohoo!
What's that? Turtle Rock, Vitreous, and the right side of Ganon's Tower?
Something like that.
Next hint tile says the fire rod is near your uncle.
Thanks, game. It's not like we were required to go through that part or anything.
As P-Train gets his disappointment that is Hype Cave, aside from that last chest, the mirror which would have made his current Jeremiah World Tour quite a bit shorter. Has to be a little bit of a frustrating moment on P-Train's side.
You basically did all this work for a Froggy World Tour. Hey, here's the way you could have made that World Tour be a lot shorter. Alright, Troll Dorm time!
With Fighter Sword, we do run the risk of hitting that in rage mode.
Azaz did a couple sword spins, and now he's pulling out the hammer, and gets it done without Hyper Troll Dorm.
Definitely feels good, as Hyper Troll Dorm is no fun.
And there was an ice rod on a required pendant boss.
What a dip for Azaz, and this can prove interesting on P-Train's side. Oh boy.
Alright, time to strike the earth. There are the flippers.
under the earth, we find our way to the water.
Alright, continuing the discussion about retro mode, but then also how is this tournament, how is the tournament determined? So we started back in October with a qualifier round where it was just open mode. The top 96 from those qualifier runs got into the group stage that we're currently in. Those 96 runners were put into 16 groups of 6. They have 15 races to run, 3 of which are 3 against every runner. So as you see here, P-Train and asazas are in a group. Now, the higher seed picked the options for the first race. The second one picked it for the second race. This is actually the third race between P-Train and asazas, and both of them, it got randomized. Both of them had a veto. P-Train vetoed Swordless. asazas vetoed Randomizer, because neither one of them wanted to run that. So, of course, what does the Randomizer do? Give them the other thing neither of them wanted to run, retro mode.
RNG be upon them. Alright, and we're going to head into the Paradox Cave here and find that plethora of items, all of which are still out of sequence, but we have to imagine some access was hiding on the east side of the Light World. Or potentially on the Moth.
Well, there's Hookshot.
Interesting. I'll open up Hookshot Cave for asazas, so it definitely feels like he's hit the motherlode here of items.
And to finish talking about the tournament, so we talked about the group stage. So after you do your 15 races in the group, the top 2 from each of those groups will be seeded into a bracket of 32, and then it will be a best of 5 until we get to our champion.
Interesting, you know, once we hit that bracket stage, the expert difficulty is unlocked as a choice. And if you think a hard mode is unfun, wait till you get to expert.
I'm still waiting to get to expert. I'll probably be waiting for ever.
I'm thinking by version 60. asazas finds our third sword, but his second.
Yeah, the Take Any Room that was the fortune teller in the fortune teller north of Kakariko, that's where the other sword upgrade was. Ether is needed for Turtle Rock.
P-Train going to find his plethora of items, and still looking for that thing that puts us into sequence, but we'll probably see that soonish. We know somewhere in here there is a piece of heart. Because the hint system is helpful. Well,
there it is.
Hooray!
It helped because it gave asazas a heart container. Chad also talking about inverted key sanity. Yes, that is available. However, for this tournament, if inverted is selected, the variant option is disabled by default. So you can't do retro inverted, key sanity inverted, Randomizer inverted. That is possible, but for this tournament, we're not allowing it.
And there are a few... inverted mode is still pretty new, Jax, and there are some stability issues on some of those things, but not very, very seldom seen. And plus, I just think the thought of an inverted Randomizer is just extremely rude.
Well, with that powder that asazas picked up in Hera, we are about to see Magic Bat.
Drop on down into the Bat Cave. You've awoken me from my slumber with this powder. How dare you! Today I curse thee with $5.
Well, that was probably the cheapest thing he could give.
I have seen him curse runners with the penny before. That's always fun.
That is true.
At least Alfred does get his penny worth once in a while.
Pyroman's bringing up a good point that with that shovel leading to the flippers, kind of wonder if Swamp House is kind of where the seed is wanting them to go.
Well, we have that hook shot out of sequence, so Swamp is calling to us. Still need to find where that flute or lamp are hiding out to get us to the mountain, technically. But with the way these runners are, there's a potential that we could never see that lamp. Alright, so what is hanging out above the pose today? As P-Train quickly makes his way through the Tower of Hera, and looks like he is going to be heading up to find his ice rod. Interesting that both of these runners decided to just straight up dive it.
Well, it really doesn't take that much time, and it's still 3 item checks. You know, like you're kind of coming up here. You're coming up here with the Titansmith, so you assume you're doing Super Bunny Cave. You know, yeah, it's a couple minutes, but you can do Hera pretty quick. Like I don't think this is a bad idea. Even with the knowledge that, oh hey, the ice rod was on Trolldorn.
And it definitely feels good. Will definitely feel good for both the runners, as P-Train is deciding he's going to hammer things out with Moldorm here.
Oh, P-Train, be careful. There you go.
And he will be relieved to find out that that red pendant will be more valuable than he anticipated.
Alright, well, while we have a moment as both runners are kind of going back over different things, this is the perfect time to remind you that we are seeing quite the show from P-Train and asazas, so please do remember to give both of them a follow on Twitch. They certainly deserve it.
Your love, your affection, or at least your follow. All of these things are appreciated. Alright, and Azazaz is heading into now uncharted territory with his fire rod in hand to go see what is hanging out with our friend Mothula. A few more hearts in hand than the first time we were here.
Yep, and as the hint reminded us, we did find the fire rod in the chest in the Uncle's Tunnel, so even though P-Train has been here, P-Train decided not to come back to the back area of Skullwood, so it'll be interesting to see if we do find another required item in a pendant dungeon. And that big key is, well, that will open up the big chest, but still.
Would be curious to see if this is pointing us toward an all-dungeon direction, despite not being all-dungeon selected. We already know we have one required pendant dip. Let's see what Skullwoods is holding on for us.
P-Train will get his hook shot here momentarily.
And after he clears this side and heads up toward the Dark World side, he will find Tempered Sword. Pushing him even further in the offensive lead in this seed. Though Asazas being a little bit further ahead as far as total items checked.
Alright, time for them off.
That's sort of the 3 hugs that he can take.
And now it's down to 2. Now it's down to 1. Does have a red potion to chug.
Just has to be careful. The moth puts him down, the spikes keep him up.
Gonna chug it here. Ooh. Come on, Asazas, you got this. There we go.
Down goes the moth, and what is in reward for all this trouble?
A hoard of cash, which normally would not be important, but again, this is retro mode. You want cash.
He just handed him 3 keys. And I imagine we'll see Asazas go back and check that big chest on his way out, unless he's got a count that I missed. We have P-Train here deciding to go in and farm up a few keys.
Might mean... Could mean we might see Pod from P-Train in the near future.
Absolutely, still a plethora of items, though our logic isn't pointing us there without the lamp or bow. We do have access to Swamp Palace, though. Still missing that key that put us on the mountain.
And this Bombos, so... Unless we need Bombos for Meyer, Swamp Palace looks like it might be a bust.
Alright, P-Train hands on over to find out that the Ether Medallion is what he requires for Turtle Rock. It's interesting to see we're 47 minutes in here, and we're doing pretty good as far as safeties goes in this hard mode, as nicely gets to send those hard hat beetles to where they belong. And there's Death Mountain cleared for P-Train. Where is he heading next?
Special Circumstances asking in chat, how many keys are in the item pool in Retro? I think it's the number of keys for all the dungeons. I think in normal mode, we remove 10 of them, and I think in hard mode, we remove 15, but I'm not exactly certain on that.
I will defer, as I do not know. And it looks like P-Train is reading what we were and is heading towards Swamp Palace.
Very nice.
And Asazas will strike the earth to find his flippers, giving him access to Swamp. Alright, what's our hit in the swamp say us? There's a unique item in Turtle Rock.
Okay.
Good to know, as we will have to find our way in there, and we're just a Kana Samari away from being able to make our way through. Big key right away. Nice to knock off that check right away. Alright, let's take a look at our trackers here. What are we hoping to find in Swamp? Gotta find ourselves a bow, a flute.
Also need a cane of Samaria at some point. We're gonna need ether for Turtle Rock. And whatever medallion we might need for Meyer.
And of course the potential for the boots. We will have to clear Desert Palace, and the Library Ledge does have a free key hanging out. Plenty of item checks available here in Swamp Palace, so I'd imagine there's gotta be something sending us in a direction.
Yeah, and since we're talking about it, so Skullwoods and Hera, we obviously have everything we need. Ice Palace, with having the hook shot and the fire rod, we have the means to get into Ice Palace and clear it out. So all of the stuff that we are still looking for could in fact be on the pedestal.
The only item that it's harder to justify being on the pedestal will be the Cane of Samaria. I don't know, actually. It's hard to know with how key logic lines up with retro mode. Probably don't have to worry about being Samaria locked anymore. There are circumstances in regular modes where the Cane of Samaria is technically required, but most of the runners can bomb jump around that requirement. And chat, bring up the good point is, even though this is the hard mode and the male upgrades and shields and swords are still in the item pool, once you reach the maximum available, they just turn into cash.
Yeah, and we were talking earlier about the fact that Azaz missed the take any room in the Fortune Teller hut north of Kakariko. That is where the sword upgrade difference is. So P-Train is going to be maxed out at Master Sword or at Tempered Sword because this is hard mode. If Azaz managed to find the third sword upgrade, there is still a chance that they can get even. And Quake. Oh wait, we saw Quake. Never mind. My bad. Ignore me.
I don't think we acknowledged it though, so it's okay. Alright, and P-Train is heading back to hang out to Argus. Since he has the Tempered Sword, he won't have to worry about playing the menu fight, where Azaz may have to. And P-Train ought to be careful, as one more hug sends him home. Making quick work of the Argives and sets up for the quick kill. Well done.
Very, very nice.
Word with an extra heart and a crystal for his troubles, and I imagine we're both going to head over to the left side here momentarily. We did not find the hint that keeps us away from there. Or did he clear it and I missed it? Did P-Train head over to the left side or not?
I missed it.
Looking at this, the speed at which he went through there, I don't believe he did. Interesting choice to leave that behind. As P-Train takes a moment to pick up $20 on that ledge, so he just blind checked. Looks like he's heading over to Pod.
No, this is... Well, no, yeah, he might check Hobo here. But then, yeah, may go to Pod.
Uh-oh. With the mirror in hand, he's got the Eastern combo as well. Just don't have the bow to finish either of those two dungeons. But still a plethora of checks available. As it's not quite getting the quick kill, as without Tempered, you can't pull that off.
And the Hobo is an archer today.
Hobo indeed. Well, who wants to do the Pod Eastern combo? Because that just became very much a thing.
I do!
Curious to see how long it takes Azazaz to find his way there, as P-Train is demonstrating the glitch for us here. While he has not purchased the wooden arrow, he is still able to fire them because of a current bug in the retro mode. This is allowed by the tournament, as everyone has been made aware of it. But he will need to go and spend the 80 bucks to buy his wooden arrow eventually when he wants to use his silvers on Ganon, provided that he finds them.
And with this being hard mode, P-Train is certainly picking up that heart container.
Alright, and here comes Azazaz to find his, swimming up to find his bow. And it looks like P-Train is going to head up toward Catfish and finally check our Zora area. Now, being this is retro, that Zora play feels really bad if it comes up with nothing for you, because that's 5 keys you just lost. Or 50 arrows. $18 of which you'll need for the Armos Knights.
And it looks like both runners are making a play for Zora, but with Azazaz being in Light World, he's not going to be able to do this catfish check.
We will see what this comes up with.
And just a piece of heart, but again, hard mode, you're picking that up.
And the Waterfall Fairy gives us 25 bucks. And what is going to be our free fill today?
Red potion.
Definitely take it. Money saved. As we're going to high-five our way up to Zora.
We're going to get a sync Zora check. Or not. P-Train ain't bothering.
Decides no. Well, he has a little bit less money than Azazaz does because he chose to pick up a few more keys while he was up on the mountain.
Yep. Well, as you know, Bungie, there once was a fish named Zora who gives you flippers in vanilla. In retro, he's a devil. For 500 shekels, we could get 5 keys instead of 20 bucks.
Ouch. And it's not even like he's in a position where a hard reset would be possible to save that money, as he picked up that bow and he's not resetting that out. Or, you know, all of Swamp Palace. Azazaz is heading up this direction. We know P-Train is with that bow in hand. I'm thinking, Palace and Eastern seem pretty good right now.
Yeah, that certainly seems like the play at this point.
And we'll finally get our check of Sasrhala after all this time. 50 minutes in, and we're making our first entrance into the Eastern Palace area.
Gambella asking in chat, heart resets are allowed? Yes, they are. Now, you lose progress, so you have to be careful when you do a hard reset, but that is allowed in tournament play.
And there's definitely the weight of risk and reward to that. It all depends on when you save and quit. And P-Train's gonna walk into the Palace of Darkness only to remember, oh wait, I mirrored. I have to go get that monkey because iframes.
Yeah. We still have to be extorted 110 rupees to get into Pod.
That cost us a key and an arrow. Weighty Words bringing up an interesting point. There's a potential that the access to Dark World, or to Death Mountain, could be on the pedestal.
If that lamp is on the pedestal. If that lamp is on the pedestal.
I may just have a meltdown.
Well, no, it couldn't. The only way it could is if we found the flute and that was your Death Mountain access, because Hera being one of the pendants, you either need the lamp to get up the Death Mountain or the flute.
I suppose you're right, but it is an interesting scenario. And that flute could definitely be hanging out in Eastern Palace. And P-Train with plenty of keys in hand is going to make its way through the Palace of Chests.
Gambella also asking in chat, does standard mode negate the lamp? No, we put a light cone. We put a lamp cone in for the escape sequence, so you don't need the lamp for it. So that way we're not forced to have to put the lamp in situ for the standard mode. But once you go out of there, Heart Container and Big Key are Fire Rod locked in Mire.
Definitely a good hint that knows that we are definitely going to have to head into that left side.
But anyway, the point being, so that we don't have to put the lamp in escape in a standard mode seed, we do just automatically code in a light cone for the runners in standard mode. After that, you have to have the lamp to go through dark rooms logically.
The only exception being is that light cone is permanent in the escape sequence, so if you come back in later, for whatever reason, it's still there. Say you forget bombs. And both your lift upgrades are hiding in the back of escape because it's rude.
Eastern Hint Tile telling us some caches in Lost Woods. Thanks, game. Thank you very much.
Well, I think that 5 rupees in the big chest puts away our lamp pedestal dream. Unless it shows up like right here, and nope.
I mean, that lamp could be an ice palace.
True. As could the flute.
Yeah, I mean, go mode. We certainly need flute. We certainly need Cane of Samaria. We certainly need ether. We may need Bombos for Mire, which is in the big chest in Skullwoods. Asazas has it. P-Train does not. And we may need the boots if Desert is boots locked.
Just looking as Azazaz heads back toward the Armos Knights, noting he has about 100 rupees more than he needs to finish that fight. Typically, Armos Knights is pretty trivial, but with hard mode, no silvers, and retro, that's going to cost us 180 bucks. And it still costs us 60 just to get in the door.
You know, I've had a thing where I would say that time to pay the 180-buck tax on the Armos Knights, but you're right. It actually is a 240-buck tax on the Armos Knights.
Definitely have to be careful with your arrows here.
But, like an ace doesn't make a miss, gets a small key and a crystal.
Alright, so nothing coming up in Eastern Palace, as P-Train is having a little bit of trouble getting through that dark maze there. One more hit and he's out.
Also, half a heart, and he's out. He's gonna chug that red potion instead.
And we got something there. Not an item required. Alright, it's time to head on back and see what's hiding out in the King of all Helmosaurs.
While we're working on that, I've been seeing a bunch of new names in chat, so let's take this moment to kind of recap where we've been. So, this is race number 3 between P-Train and Asazas. P-Train vetoed Swordless, Asazas vetoed Randomizer, so both of them got the other thing neither wanted, Retro Mode. It was Uncle Assured Sword. We had Dark World access pretty much in Kakariko. Both runners have sequence broken up to Death Mountain where we found the hook shot. Flippers were pretty early on. With the shovel in Thieves Town to the dig spot where the flippers were. Ice Rod was on Pendant Trolldorm, but both of them have picked that up. So, I mean, we're pretty even at this point.
Yeah, we're just... Right now, P-Train is just about finished with Palace of Darkness, and Asazas is making their way through, having already finished Eastern Palace.
As I say that, the only difference really at this point is that P-Train did an early dip into Skullwoods. Fire Rod was in the chest in Uncle's Tunnel, so both of them had that, like, from the word go. But P-Train decided not to go to the back and finish Mothula, because again, Pendant Skullwoods. Asazas did. The Bombos medallion was in the big chest with the big key under the bridge room. So that's kind of really the only outstanding difference right now is if we get to Mire, which is a crystal, and it is Bombos, then Asazas will have an advantage. Otherwise, this is a pretty even race at this point.
Oh, definitely. That's our only real major divergent between the two of them. Answer the question in chat. Yes, the arrow is a separate item from the bow. This is retro mode. You have to buy it for 80 rupees, though with a bug currently with the retro mode, it is possible to fire them without the arrow. But if you want silvers, you need to go buy that. It is an allowed use of the bug. Everyone has been made aware of it for this tournament.
Alright, Helmosaur down for P-Train.
What has he been holding on to this whole time?
A small key.
So, small keys from both bosses here in the eastern area, and not a whole lot was opened up to us after completing that. Where do we need to go next?
Ice Palace.
Alright, so we're heading into our third pendant dungeon with potential for required items hiding inside.
Yep. And as both runners are doubling back on the other dungeon the previous runner did, we did see a question about retro mode, so let's repeat that for our fellow newcomers in chat. So retro mode, we're taking elements of Zelda 1, putting them in Zelda 3. Keys are universal. You can buy them. They are farmable because you can farm money. Arrows, you have to spend money to fire as opposed to having arrow items dropped without the world. There are 4 take any rooms that are randomly put in houses that do not have like required item checks. You have a choice between a blue potion and a heart container. There's a 5th one that is a sword, which is the, you know, it's dangerous to go low. Take this. Today it was in the fortune teller hut north of Kakariko. P-Train checked it, Asazas did not.
And that's where our sword divergence is. We are still seeking our 4th sword out there. We are in hard mode, We are only maxed out at Tempered Sword, but all those 4 swords are in the item pool. They'll just be converted to a big 20. Same with our Mirror Shield that's hiding out there somewhere, and our Red Mail.
Our silver's more expensive, yes. It's $10 for a wooden arrow, $50 for a silver arrow. Now, the thing is with this being hard mode, if and when we find the silver arrows, those are deactivated until we get to Ganon.
So we have to make sure that before we get there, we have $200 to put down the big pig. It is if we find those silvers.
I was gonna say, because if not, then you got to do swordless spins, no matter, or silverless spins.
And with hard mode, you definitely want to find those silvers for the easier fight, because getting hugs aren't the kindest.
Nope.
Right now, Zez fires the arrow into the Igor statue and is going to head his way on to King Helmasaur as P-Train is finishing up his Eastern Palace checks, only to find out that, yes, you gotta go to ice.
I mean, realistically, I can't think of where else we could go. I mean, P-Train may go back to Skullwoods like we discussed earlier, but I mean, we've combed through Swamp, we've combed through all of the other dungeons that every runner has been to, and we can't do Flanctuary checks without the boots. We don't have the books, so we can't do, like, tablet checks or pedestal check.
Or desert.
Or desert. Like, Ice Palace is where we have to go, I think.
I'd be curious to see if P-Train heads straight into Ice Palace or thinks, oh wait, maybe I orphaned my progression on King Zora earlier.
I mean, my guess, with Ice being a pendant, what I would probably do, again, I suck at this game, so take that for what it's worth, I would probably do Ice Palace, and then if that yields nothing, that means something has to be on the pedestal, so then you go to Lost Woods, or mirror to Skullwoods, finish off Mothula, and then you immediately mirror to go pull the pedestal.
With, perhaps somewhere routed in there, you head back to the eastern area and turn in the green pendant. And P-Train decides that this fight's a little too expensive for his taste and goes for Tempered Sword spins. The Armos Knights are one of the more interesting bosses in the game, as the things that do damage to them are rather interesting.
Like a boomerang.
Well, the higher level the sword, the less damage they take. I don't see any of our runners taking the 48 boomerang hits that's required to take down an Armos Knight.
This is true.
I'm still waiting for the scene where that is required, or does the logic even take that into account for like a for like an Randomizer?
I'm sorry, I missed that. Say that again.
I was trying to figure out where if there's ever a situation where that might be required to do, like an Randomizer seed or something.
I honestly don't know.
Because that just sounds evil.
I know I've seen Cane of Burna have to be used on Armos Knights.
Yes, to answer your question, yes, Meyer is medallion locked. It's also locked behind the flute to even get there, and we're still looking for it. And Asazas is heading over to something we have not checked despite having this for a long time. That mushroom turn-in.
Yeah, we had that mushroom in Blindside. That's how early on we had this mushroom.
It looks like both of our runners are deciding to go through it as Asazas goes for the mirror route.
And only $5.
Now, shrooms are cheap in Hyrule. Alright.
Now, Asazas, did the Zora check, but did not did it through the Light World side, so it has not checked Catfish.
We'll be disappointed to find a piece of heart and move along.
I
Alright,
mean,
P-Train?
this is hard mode, so disappointment kind of depends on your point of view.
It's like, how confident are you in your execution, and how much do you just really want to not go into Ice Palace?
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
That's okay.
But I think, unless P-Train's about to buy more keys, which he's not, I think P-Train's making the play on ice.
And judging by where asazas chose to start, I'm feeling we're heading and getting cold. I'm kind of hoping we'll find the book. Just to bury this progression even further.
Some cash is above the pose. Thanks, game.
We've already been there.
Alright, so since we're pretty sure some sort of progression has to be here, let's review what we need. We need Flute, we need Cane of Somaria, that's for certain. We may need Boots for Desert, but we can't get in without the book or the Flute. We may also, well, we know we will need Ether Medallion for Turtle Rock. We don't know what medallion we need for Meyer. We know where the other two are.
First chest is $5.
And that it should also be pointed out, all of that can be on the pedestal, and we are in the last the pendant dungeon. Also, this is green pendant, so Sahasra Lock can also hold that.
So I'm thinking to be evil side, the pedestal has one of our required items, and the other one is on the book from the green pendant on the ether tablet.
And we got a joke hint there.
As it's always fun to hypothesize how to make things harder, as if hard mode wasn't bad enough. Alright, P-Train is setting up for his not logically required Ice Palace bomb jump, though if we talk to most runners, this is something that you should learn if you want to be doing Randomizer.
Mm-hmm. Saves you a lot of time.
And maybe someday I will.
Again, usually the point where I say I suck at this game, I know how to do this Ice Palace bomb jump.
It's hard to find the time to learn it when all you want to do is just watch more and more of the tons and tons of races that is this fall tournament. Taking a peek, there is a lot of action left today after this race.
Right, so far nothing in ice that we've seen.
Head on up to the Vanilla Big Key location, and what have we today? Burritos!
Special circumstances, I wasn't paying attention to if Mitts and Flippers were locked behind Death Mountain or Dark Rims, though. They weren't. Flippers were Shovel. I don't remember where the Shovel was, but I know it wasn't locked. Power Glove was in Kakariko. Titan's Mitts were French Vanilla in Thieves Town.
Alright, taking down our Freezors. Next chest, $100.
Now we're gonna bomb jump our way across to avoid having to go up and down and up and down.
We did pick up the big key, so you could check the big key chest.
Yeah, but see, he did the bomb jump here, so that way it's a quicker route to the iced tea room. And then we'll probably come back, bomb jump across again, and then do the... Well, actually, he has a hook shot. He could just iframe his way through. There's Cane of Somaria.
Is that Cane?
It is.
Okay.
It also opens up absolutely nothing, because everything we could use the Cane of Somaria for we still need something else to be able to get in.
Woof. Okay, so while it is nice to see, we're still not getting anywhere.
We essentially have 2 checks left, the big chest here and Cold Stare. If not, this is looking like a pedestal seed.
Or green pendant.
Or green
there's
pendant.
5. Here's a moment where we are going to see that sword pickup come more and more into play as Tempered Cold Stare is a little bit friendlier than Master Sword Cold Stare. One thing Azazaz does have for him is he has the Bombos Medallion, which is cheaper than the 8 Fire Rod shots it takes to open up Cold Stare's shell.
And since P-Train doesn't have a max health magic bar, he's going to have to chug that green potion just to get Cold Stare out of the ice. Does manage to get Cold Stare in a corner, swipe him a bunch of times with the Tempered Sword. Alright, that's 2 puffballs down. And there's the 3rd.
And
Alright,
all the
moment
lag.
There's the flute!
Alright, so who wants to... Well, who wants to go to Misery Mire? Ice Palace with the Mystery Mire Care Package.
Now, there is one dastardly thing left, which is we haven't seen Mire yet. Bombos Medallion was in the big chest in Skullwoods. The big key was in the back. Azazaz showed us that as he's using Bombos on Cold Stare. P-Train noped out of the early part of Skullwoods. So if this is Bombos for Mire, things could get interesting.
And we're still looking at a lot of potentials for that pedestal. The boots could still be hanging out there. So could our Ether Medallion.
Yep. But, ladies and gentlemen, at this time, we ask that you join us. It is time once again to honor Hyrule with the playing of the National Swag Duck Anthem. And the Hawk's about to rock, and we salute you.
Always brings a little tear to my eye. Alright, with that care package at hand, we're heading to the Misery Mire area.
Alright, we got a big check here. Bombos is in Skullwoods, P-Train left it. If it's Bombos, we got a change in the race. Moment of truth, it's Bombos!
Ooh. P-Train's gotta feel kind of bad here. This could swing even harder if that pedestal is holding on to something, but given what we know, P-Train isn't lacking too many checks. I mean, he's got the Mire area and the back of Skull Woods, and that's really it.
I forget who said this in chat, so I apologize that I can't credit the person who said this, but someone basically early on said, this is essentially an all dungeon seed disguised as a Ganon seed, which is mostly true. We didn't have to do Act 1, but yeah, we had to do all pendant dungeons. Ice Rod was in Hera, Skullwoods has Bombos Medallion, and Ice Palace had Kena Samaria and Flute.
2 of those items were on bosses as well. Oh, P-Train also has Desert to check. One can only hope for his sake that it comes up boots locked real quick. And ask question in chat. No one has yet, as of yet, turned in their green pendants. Okay, are we boots locked? Nope. Well, And special circumstances does also bring up the fact that, yes, our lamp could potentially be hiding on the pedestal. Alright, there's our big key. Head on over to the right side and see what's there. Looks like Azaz is making his way into desert as well. $20 there, and maybe ether medallion. Now, if you're in P-Train's shoes, you're kind of hoping not to find the ether medallion here, as that would send him even further away from where his Bombos is.
Mm-hmm.
If he finds ether either here in the big chest or on Land Molus, it might send him in the wrong direction and put him even further behind.
I mean, honestly, knowing what we know, the P-Train doesn't know, you basically have to hope Ether's on the pedestal, because that forces you back to Skullwoods to get Bombos. Otherwise, like, Azazaz has an advantage at this point. Because if Ether is in Mire, like, Azazaz will get into go mode if we find Ether either on Lamulus or in Mire.
Yeah, but we still, looking at what P-Train has left, he has those checks in Skullwoods. I don't think he did Left Side Swamp and the Green Pendant.
Also Zora. He did not spend the $500 for Zora.
And I had to imagine if you're in P-Train shoes, that's probably last location. Because that's the one that hurts the most in this mode.
Frostbite 3030 pointing out that Ice Palace was full clearable before Death Mountain, so Flute could definitely have been the mountain access for the hook shot. And the thing is, we didn't find anything of importance in Pod or Eastern, so those dark rooms certainly, in theory, could not, didn't need to be completed until now.
And the only thing those dark rooms were needed for was to get access to the boss. And B-Train having a little bit of trouble with those fire rod shots in these Land Mola.
Now, we've kind of talked about the advantage that Azazaz has. There is one difference right now that is in P-Train's favor, which is the fact that he got the Take Any Sword from the Fortune Teller room. So there is a distinct difference between Master Sword and Tempered Sword right now. We could still find the third sword upgrade to get them even, but that's kind of the state of the race right now.
And that could be hiding all the way up in Ganon's Tower.
Alright, so if you're rooting for P-Train, you want him going to 3 right now. Which he doesn't.
He's going left swamp.
Oh no.
Could work out for him if Ether's hiding out here, though.
Did either runner do left swamp?
No.
Oh, that's intriguing.
Yep, that puts Ether over there, maybe bringing P-Train back at having a chance.
Oh, Pyramid Fairy.
Oh, yes, we have 5-6. I can count. Let's go for the big boom. And Azazaz is heading into Misery Mire.
At this point, we're on a hunt for the Ether Medallion. We know Bombos is in the swamp, or the Skullwoods big chest. Big key is in the bridge in the back of Skullwoods. Alright. Pyramid Fairy. $5. $5. Bust.
%10 cash back on your investment.
Oh, and you know what? One of the things I keep forgetting about retro mode. You know where 2 item locations are that normally aren't?
Oh no.
We're heading Naga
1. Could work in his favor if Ether's hiding in here, as that may something that P-Train, as may not get to right away. But he still has to head to Skull Woods.
$20 there. Okay, so again,
go ahead.
Sorry, without the lamp, that second chest is not in logic right now.
Alright, Nope's out of there. Alright, hoping we're going to 3 here.
Okay, he's going to 3.
Has that mental debate whether is it left side swamp? Is it Skull Woods?
Okay,
or is it wherever he's going?
Yeah, he hasn't done Magic Bat yet.
So he'll be cursed with $5 and not what he needs. As is making his way onto the left side of Misery Mire, as we know that the big key is fire locked.
Lord Nav in chat asking, why are 2 items in Aga Tower that aren't normally? Because this is retro mode. That means that there doesn't have to be 2 keys in the Aga Tower. You can go buy them.
As is finding his burrito and moving on to the next part. Alright, P-Train, head your way up to Skull Woods.
Piece of heart and mire. Next check. Red meringue.
Still on that hunt for the lightning coin, as it looks like Azazaz accidentally spends a key on that door.
And P-Train is going to make the right choice. He's going to get Bombos by going to Skull Woods if he remembers to go check the big chest after killing Mothula. There's Ether, 1 hour, 32 minutes, 42 seconds. Azazaz is in go mode.
And it could take P-Train a long time to hit that, because we know he has to go to the left side for the big key lock. So one thing that works in his favor is Azazaz is still on the hunt for Tempered.
P-Train plays this right. That could be a difference in the race. Is it enough to pull him back in the lead? We'll have to wait and see.
Oh, but Chad bringing up a good point. There is still that chance that the big key is hanging out on Bob's torch. Now, we don't have the boots yet. So I guess we can put us in more of a Schrodinger's go mode, as we're not 100% sure yet. And that's not enough magic.
Nope. That is certainly not going to help P-Train with trying to make up this time. The thing is, he doesn't even have to kill Mothula. He just has to get the big key out of the bridge chest. And he's going to spend a lot of time going back for that full magic decanter here in this back area.
Picks up a small one, so he will have enough to do a Mario block to get back there. Alright, there's the full magic, and we're heading back to the bundle of eyeballs. And we're going for Cape and Master Sword spin strats. But this is hard mode, so that cape costs double.
Alright, 4 of the 9 eyeballs are down, there's 5. Chugs a blue potion, and gonna get what time he can with the cape before it maybe goes out again. There we go. Alright, down to 1 eyeball.
Unfortunately, has to use it in a non-ideal location as he had to dodge that lightning.
Ooh. Alright, he gets it. Time to play badminton with the big one. Or just gonna spend the cash to shoot some arrows.
At this point, at the level of money he's at, you go for it.
Alright,
a lot safer.
Crystal number 6 for Azazaz.
To answer the question, Chet, the big key is under the bridge, not on the moth. But this will be a little bit quicker for P-Train as he has tempered, where Azazaz is still sitting on that mastered sword.
Yeah, I gotta say though, I'm starting to think that this advantage that P-Train has with the Master Sword may not be able to get him back with how far behind he is starting to get.
All of which could be swung, where depending on if we're boots locked in Ganon's tower or not. Because that's definitely still a thing that we can encounter. The chances are very low. But it does keep our pedestal alive. And Chad does bring up a good point. There is a chance that P-Train could just decide to mirror here and blind pull.
Yeah, he's gonna do it.
Alright, get your hype in, chat! The pedestal is on its way! If you're a P-Train fan, you want to find boots here with the Ganon's Tower Big Key being on the torch.
But!
And he shows his displeasure.
Now he needs to remember to go back inside that portal and go check the big chest. That's where Bombos is.
Oh no! Go back!
No, he's going.
Did he pick up that key? I don't remember if he did.
He's got the big key. Yeah, he went and got it.
Okay. I'm losing track of myself here.
So this will be Bombos for P-Train. P-Train's probably hating himself right now because it's like, I spent all of that time on Mothula and the pedestal, and I didn't have to.
And I was already here once. You have to imagine he's definitely feeling behind at this point, as we're going to drop the Ether Medallion into the turtle and head our way in. As P-Train has to go through a rather unfun laid out Misery Mire to find his bolt coin to put him in go mode.
And he has enough keys for Turtle Rock. Don't know if
he has enough to full clear it.
Yes, but that's it. Like, he doesn't have enough for Ganon's Tower just yet. Now, as we mentioned real early on, and I want to be clear about this. This was before the race, so we weren't illegally helping Azazaz beforehand. But apparently, Azazaz, this is like one of either his first or close to his first retro mode. Happy 12th birthday, ZFG just gave us a Twitch Prime sub. Thank you very much. So anyway, to continue the story, P-Train and I were giving him a quick rundown on retro mode and the stuff again before the race. So that's another. So there's a couple things kind of still working our way through this. Asazas has enough keys for Turtle Rock, may not have enough for GT. We still have the potential of the big key being on the torch in GT, as well as Asazas is still at Master Sword, P-Train is a Tempered Sword. So there's still a lot of things that could really swing this race one way or another.
And another thing to take a peek at is look at that rupee count for Asazas. There is a key vendor on Death Mountain, but he can only buy one. And that would not leave him with enough money to fire silvers if he needs to, or even clear out the gauntlet. As we still have those red Garaya. So money management is starting to look like it could cause a lot of trouble for Asazas here. Which is something you do not think about going into in any other use case, and that could be where that first ever retro seed starts to come back and bite him.
Like P-Train has the big key, he still has to get ether from the big chest.
You definitely have to imagine he's going to check that, as Asazas decides to leave the vanilla big key chest behind.
Yeah, he's just going straight for Trinex.
Cannot blame him, but it does lead more to the pain that could be a Ganon's Tower big key. If it's just that rare chance it's on the torch. But with as unkind as the seed has been, it's definitely something that it could decide to do after putting required items in all 3 pendant dungeons.
Alright, well there's $300, so he's got the ability to spend more keys, and he will have to spend that last key on the door right before Trinex, so he will be at 0 keys going into Ganon's Tower.
Provided he doesn't find one of the few that are left hanging out on Laser Bridge. And at 142.27, P-Train has entered what we believe to be Go mode.
And we should also point out, this Master Sword Trinex fight's going to be a little difficult. We did see a hint that there was a unique item in Turtle Rock. Buddy, wrong element. There you go. Gonna chug that blue potion for safety. Alright, red head down.
Wait for that cutscene to play, and here comes the ice head, and oop, juke that head. Ooh, takes a hug. And then the ice becomes a thing. One more hug, and that's the end of Asazas.
Gotta be careful.
He's almost out of magic.
Alright, there's the blue head. He's on to phase 2.
And at this point, looking at what checked, it's just, as we finish up Trinex, I have to wonder, where's left for that lamp to hide?
Probably somewhere in Turtle Rock, I'd imagine. I mean, the Ether Medallion wasn't wasn't Darkroom locked, so it could very well be in Turtle Rock. But Asazas does have Trinex down, so we just gotta wait for the explosions, get the single green rupee and crystal number 7. So There are 22 locations where that Ganon's Tower big key can be in the basement of Ganon's Tower. If you want to play in our guessing game, you need to guess the number between 1 and 22. However, you need to subscribe to one of our 6 speed gaming channels or have donated 250 bits. And I would suggest you do it pretty quickly because Azazaz is almost Ganon's Tower bungee to the tree. What'd you guess?
17.
And unfortunately, P-Train took a death.
Oh, that's making it way through that Mire Dark Room. Not great. Though I have to say, if I'm hyped for chat, I'm hoping for 3, which would usually be Bob's Torch. Alright, last chance to get those guesses in. We're heading our way up the stairs and into the tower that is Ganon's. The silver arrows are still yet to be found.
Yes. And Azazaz has no keys going in, so he may get himself into a situation where he has to go back to buy more. Interesting, the P-Train's going for Turtle Rock? Alright, guesses are closed. Number 1, piece of heart. Number 2, $5. Gonna have to go left side.
All right, here's a moment of truth. Do we have the hype of looking for the boots?
Nope.
All right, let's head on, and that pretty much puts the nail in P-Train's coffin.
All right, number 3. Tempered sword. Number 4, $5. 5. Sorry, that was 6. So 7, $20.
All right, double fire bar room is holding.
Azazaz, you're forgetting something.
That's a gamble. That is an interesting choice by Azazaz, but he is low on keys.
Well, it paid off because chest number 8, there's the big key. Not the normal chest number 8 we would usually call, but hey, it worked for Azazaz. He has a small key. He can get through the rest of this game no problem.
What a gamble. And the bot has just decided it is angry. It appears that unfortunately our bot seems to have fallen asleep.
I think when you did, let me look.
Alright, we continue on through Ganon Ball GT. We're heading up through the gauntlet for Azazaz. Please go ahead and take a moment to hit that refill room. We'll have to bomb jump over to get to it.
Alright, so we did get Vigil 18 did correctly guess 8, but I think we might have had a problem with the big key guessing game. So we will say congratulations to Vigil 18. You may not have been put on the leaderboard, but congratulations.
If I was asking, we did have those fairies there, but we cannot pick them up in hard mode. They do still provide the heal, though. And here we are at the end of nearing the end of Ganon's tower, and we never did find our boots.
We also never did find silvers.
I'd imagine Azazaz will probably make his way through. And probably check these last 3 chests for silvers. You just, if you're Azazaz, you have to be really thankful to have found that tempered sword early in Ganon's tower, because the difference between tempered and mastered for Ganon is quite nice.
Mm-hmm.
As P-Train fights his way through what is Turtle Rock, having lick his wounds a little bit after that Mire Darkroom. Alright, Azazaz will pick up his full magic refill and head up to our last torch room here.
Alright, gets the key there. Alright, Minnie's Helmet Star room has $300 and $5.
Still one chest left in Moldorm's last possession if he wants to find hope in those silver arrows.
Alright, Trolldorm 2 time.
Two swings.
Ooh, hyper. There we go.
And one hook shot across. And our last chest check looking for silver arrows. No dice.
So
we're going silverless.
Yep. Sorry, didn't mean to step on you there.
It is okay. I'm just happy to be here with you, Jax.
Alright, well, at this point, Azazaz just has 2 more bosses to kill, and that's game.
And Azazaz walks through the door and is going to begin his required geometry test for the night.
Ooh, gets a double. Could have had a triple.
Here's a single and a blue ball to the face.
Another double, so just 1 more to go. And that will do it. Agatu is down for Azazaz, and it is time for the big pig.
I'm ready for some bacon. Bacon sword, bacon coin, and bacon boss. This P-Train makes a check of Mimic Cave that we did not. Let's see on Azazaz's size. Maybe he's looking for that lamp. And we get to learn some things about slugs today. Thanks, Ganon. The more you know.
The more you know, the quicker we're into Phase 2. And Azazaz may have enough for Phase 3.
Yes, he did. All right, Ganon, where are the silvers?
They were in the big chest in Turtle Rock. P-Train just found them.
Well, no. No asazas did not, Ganon. And he picks up the torch glitch.
And that's huge, because now he's got to do 12 Tempered Sword spins to finish off Ganon. And every bit of magic is going to count for this. Because you can get a max about 2 in before the torch goes out.
Yeah, but he doesn't have any refills, to my knowledge.
He's doing pretty good, though.
This is definitely on a good clip here.
Working Silverless Ganon like a pro. And there we have it.
And the fanfare plays as we wait for the bridge to descend. We can send our GGs in chat to Azazaz, who is our first place finisher with an official SRL time of 1 hour, 55 minutes, and 42 seconds. GG!
Spam those GGs in chat.
And I'm also now able to report that P-Train has decided to forfeit from the rest of this race.
Yep. Unfortunately, yep, I think he knows that he ain't gonna finish.
Alright, we should hopefully see them in here for an interview shortly. Jex, what are your thoughts after that seed?
As Locklear just put in chat, this was an awful seed. No boots, no lamp. That was rough.
At this point, my only thought is that left side of swamp is where that lamp is hiding. No boots, no lamp, a super late flute. Definitely a tough with a hard mode, retro, which neither of these runners wanted. It's not the place. It's not the seed that either one of them were hoping for, but definitely a good showing by both of them, and it's just that one decision that ends up costing the race.
Alright, so we have P-Train. Azazaz is working his way through Discord updates, and now we're going to get both of them in here. And joining us in chat is both Azazaz and P-Train. GG.
GG.
Yeah, GG.
So, how you feeling?
Oh, that sucked.
Yes, this was a really, really hard seed, I think.
I don't think anybody here or in this Discord room or in chat will disagree that this was a rough one for the ages.
Yeah, I felt super behind. I don't know. I felt okay until I found Bombos. When I found Bombos where it was after pulling Pedestal, I was like, yeah, I've probably lost at this point. And the death in Mire certainly didn't encourage me either.
Yeah, the interesting thing was, even though Azazaz got into go mode when finding the ether in the big chest in Mire, there was still kind of a murkiness to kind of how the race was going to unfold. Because Azazaz never found the take any room for the sword in the fortune teller hut in the north part of Kakariko. So he was on Master Sword the whole time you were on Tempered. But then we knew that the Bombos was on the big chest. So when we were seeing you die to Mothula and then make that big trek all the way back to get that full magic decanter in Skullwoods, we kind of... That was kind of the point where it was kind of like, this isn't looking too good. And then we found the other sword upgrade in Ganon's Tower.
Yeah, that and just retro mode is so weird. Like, I'm still learning. Honestly, like, I haven't really practiced the mode, so there were a lot of chests. Like, I know I was in, like, Agate Tower, and I wasted a lot of time trying to decide if I wanted to spend 100 rupees to get a chest that's not even in logic for me yet, so just things like that. The Armos fight was weird too. I forgot about the money bow. And then I started shooting Armos, and I heard my rupee count go down. I was like, oh god. I didn't really plan that out before I took out Armos, so I didn't know how much money I was about to use. So that fight was really slow for me. Just a few little mistakes like that. Just kind of added up over the seed.
But I will say on that money point, just looking at how we got to the end, I would say you had a little bit better of a grasp of the money management aspect. The choice to avoid Zora, which turned out to be pretty good.
Yeah, I had determined beforehand I was going to last location Zora. If Zora had anything, unless my opponent last location to 2, I was going to lose, and I made that decision before the seed.
You actually were in sync going up to Zora, but you noped as soon as you got to the Zora ledge, whereas Azaz actually did spend the cash. Speaking of which, Azaz, I know you and P-Train and I were talking with you before the race. Was this your first retro seed?
This was my first retro seed, yeah. I mean, quite an adventure, honestly. Yeah, and unfortunately, I skipped that take any cave with a sword because I basically checked a map before this race, like trying to memorize all of the caves, but yeah, apparently forgot some of those.
That's alright, it happens. I mean, this was brutal no matter what way you slice it.
I was going to ask you that being of the first retro seed you done through, but did that lead into your decision to skip the double firebar room in Ganon's Tower?
Well, I basically knew at that point that I had badly mismanaged my keys, so I essentially skipped it because that was only one item. And if I had to continue past the chest where the big key ended up being, there was another locked door, but a lot more locations after that. So didn't want to waste my key there.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there. Chat was also wanting me to let you know. Do you want to know where the silver arrows were?
I do know where they are already.
Yeah. Right as you got to phase 4, P-Train was opening up the big chest in Turtle Rock, and that's where the silver arrows were.
Also, fun fact for chat, after I forfeit, I knew that there was a unique item in Turtle Rock, so I checked Laser Bridge. Boots were in the last chest of Laser Bridge.
Oh, wow.
In case y'all wanted to know.
All right. That was something that was lagging in my mind. I was like, how rude is this seed with the boots? Yeah, pretty rude.
Yeah, apparently it skipped all the good stuff in TR.
Yeah, both TR. I mean, when TR didn't have anything required for go mode, but between TR and freaking Ice Palace, like, man, some of the dungeons were loaded. Like, I think what would we get? Cane and Flute out of Ice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that was.
I think every pendant dungeon was required in some capacity.
Yeah, Ice Rod was at Hera on Troll Dorm. Skullwoods had the Bombus Medallion in the big chest, and then we had the Flute and the Cane of Samaria in Ice Palace.
And 2 of those items being on bosses to make it even more rude.
And the third one just being requiring the back of Skullwoods, which might as well be a boss required.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so that puts. We'll start with as it says here. That moves you up to 7 and 6. How are you feeling How are you feeling going into what is your last 2 races?
Wait, 7 and 6? Is that right? I didn't do that many races, I think.
Well, maybe I read challenge incorrectly, but how are you feeling going into the rest of it?
I believe it is 6 and 3.
Yeah, 6 and 3.
Yeah, it's going to be a really, really rough group. Of course, already ACM has the upper hand, and it's going to be a really, really brutal fight for that second spot.
And between you and Prior 57 with BBB Kermit just behind you. P-Train, that moves you down to, what is that, 4 and 7?
Yes.
All right, and how do you feel with the last 4 races for you?
We'll have to see. I know ACM MLM is a very tough opponent. I do have a race scheduled against him tomorrow. I went with the Randomizer because I do feel like my grasp of the mechanics are okay in the game, but if it comes down to executing like the NMG scripts, like ACMLM is going to beat me every time. So hopefully I'll be able to get something that throws him slightly off his game, but he's a very tough opponent, so we'll just have to see what happens.
All right, well, any final thoughts for either P-Train or Azazaz before we kind of start closing up shop here?
Retro is the worst. It's the worst.
In this game, this particular seed was absolutely the worst. I am going to agree there.
All right. Well, once again, P-Train, Azazaz, thank you guys so much. It was a brutal seed, but it was very entertaining, and it was pretty close until that Bombos came back to bite you, P-Train. So certainly would recommend going back and watching the VOD. Please, again, everyone in chat, be sure to give follows to both P-Train and Azazaz. Still have a lot of randomizer action going. We just underway on the ALTTP randomizer channel. We have an Old Dungeons Swordless Hard Key Sanity seed between Act the Boker and JTB. That just got underway. At 2:30 Eastern on Speed Gaming 4, we have Uncle Assured Hard Randomizer between Asmati Games and Weighty Words. Speed Gaming 3, we have an inverted seed between Hitsuyan and Makan. And we have another retro seed on Speed Gaming 2 that's just retro between Chloe Prower and JP. And we got a bunch of late night rando, as well as some early rando going on tomorrow morning. Also want to remind everyone that the SNES Superstars is going on right now on the main Speed Gaming channel. Yoshi's Safari is going on right now, but some other things. It looks like we've got Castlevania Dracula X. We do have Link to the Past Randomizer being shown off at 4 p.m. Eastern. Super Mario World Randomizer at 7 p.m. and Super Metroid at 10 p.m. So a lot of, if you're into SNES age games, be sure to check out the main Speed Gaming channel. And if you're into some things that are of other ages, there's Final Fantasy I Randomizer happening right now on Speed Gaming 4, as well as the Super Mario Odyssey Darker Side Tournament on Speed Gaming 3. Absolutely. Want to give a shout out to our tracker Falcon. Falcon did a great job keeping track of all the items that we found in this seed. And Bungie to the tree, it was certainly a pleasure having you in the commentary booth today. I definitely thank you for giving me a chance to hang out with you. It's been a lot of fun, and I'm excited to see what else is coming up with our crazy day of Rando and the rest of this fall tournament. There's still a lot more action to come. Absolutely. Well, thanks again to the Speed Gaming staff, and thanks again to all the volunteers behind the scenes who make this tournament run. We couldn't do it without any of you. And thank you again also to everyone in chat. Your subs and donations make all of this possible. Again, for Bungie to the Tree and Falcon, I'm Jex Reffi. Thank you all so much. Have a great day. We'll see you next mission.